Todd Pinkney, one of our P1s who came to our Seattle Kraken expansion draft watch party the other night, asks if Monty the Squirrel is going to use the Lawnmower 4.0 to trim his nuts. I was thinking more, how about that? But
how about that?
It's not an unreasonable question.
No, it is not.
Monty the Squirrel. Can we get that done up by the end of the show? And I'm in favor of your mom sewing the costume this time.
You are?
Yes.
Are you watching?
Paula?
She's probably watching.
What's going on back here? They're all laughing back there.
Because then you paused. And I was like, this in favor of her. What?
I know. I heard them bust out laughing. I'm like, what are you?
And then you sewing the costume, and it's like, just disarmed me. I'm like, okay, we're good. She can sew the costume.
I'm in favor of your mom.
What? Say it. Say it.
Right now, Darren.
You know, Andre DuPont, the old Philadelphia Flyer tough guy, was nicknamed Moose.
And you being a tough guy.
Right. But in hockey, when I was younger, another player came across the middle and made the most devastating check I've ever made in my life. Take off the helmet, and it's a girl. And so the coach slapped it. Attaboy, Moose. Just like the Moose. And I'm like, I have no idea who that is, right?
The one sports show where roughing is encouraged.
Good day, RP peeps, and welcome to the RP show. And good to be back. Good to be back. Yes, don't adjust your television set. Darren DuPont back here in the driver's seat. Rod is actually in the air somewhere. So we have switched places. Rod is traveling now, and I'm back. And it has been, what has it been now? I think I've missed, maybe 10 episodes of the show. It's been almost 2 weeks since I've been gone. I'm just making up my coffee and getting rather gathered in for the show today. But it's good to be back. Don't adjust your sets. Rod will be back in this chair next week. But for today, and I believe Monday as well, I'll be hosting the show as Rod travels back to Saskatchewan. And I'm going to chase him there too. So we're going to try and get everything all under order today, this morning. It is a Football Friday on the program, and it's going to be a fun one. We've got Damon Allen coming up in hour 2. Jim Barker from the CFL and TSN, as always, coming up next segment in hour 1. So we're going to chat with Jim Barker here in the next segment. But we'll catch you up on everything that's been going on over the last couple of weeks and get you set for the weekend, because it's a good weekend to be back in the chair. We've got the last 2 weeks of the Canadian Football League season ahead. We've got a really exciting weekend for NCAA college football and U Sports football in Canada. Some big games there. I'll be involved in that a little bit. We'll get to that a little bit later on. A lot of coverage on that too. And getting set for the week that is in the National Football League, coming off the heels of the Thursday nighter last night, which was a little bit of a snooze fest. The Denver Broncos rolled to a big win over the New Orleans Saints. No Derek Carr for New Orleans. Alvin Kamara didn't notice much at all, and wondering, would he be available in trade talk? We had Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit on the Amazon broadcast. The conversation flipped to the NHL and Connor McDavid and his place in the NHL history books. And is he going to be better than Gretzky? Is he better than Gretzky already? We're going to talk about that coming up. We're going to get to a lot of stuff, including you and your comments as well. I'm trying to pull everything up right now. Text line is open, 902-518-3033. Text line is for Alatura. Check them out online, alatura.com. I'm going to try and log into everything. It's been a hot minute since we've logged into all the different platforms and all the rest. Look, Darren took a vacation, and it was awesome. Now, I am rested and relaxed for the most part, but I am battling some sort of a bug that we picked up in the last couple of days. No, I don't think it's the dengue fever. I don't think it's the COVID or any of that stuff. We sidestepped any issues of what they call Bali belly. Didn't have any of that. We were actually really great, but we're just getting over something. The last couple of days. It started. We went to Bali in Indonesia. First time I've been overseas, never been overseas before. Went to LA first and stayed there one night in LA and then overseas, hung out at the hotel, which was awesome. It was a 12-hour flight from LA to Taipei in Taiwan. And then it was about a 5-hour flight south from Taiwan down into Indonesia, into Bali. Never been overseas, as I mentioned. I've been to Cuba, Mexico. I've been to, all over the U.S., from Florida to Dallas to Seattle to L.A., but I've never been down overseas. And so first thing, I'm a little intimidated by the flight. I mean, I got to get movies downloaded. I got to get shows downloaded. We had a rotation system for the headphone system we were going to use because my Bluetooth headphones, as gorgeous Jabras that they are, got about a 3-hour life in them. And then the case will recharge them. Got a plan for that. So we got wired headphones. We've got Bluetooth headphones, battery powered. We've got the computer, the laptop, the iPad, all the different things, the book, all the rest. Definitely over prepared for it because, at the end of the day, we hardly watched anything. The snacks, the whole deal. Really didn't watch anything. I'll tell you this. It was a breeze, 12 hours, a breeze. We flew on an airline called Eva Air, which I got more on them in a second. If you have any airline questions, my goodness, my eyes were opened. Like being in North America and young all my whole life, I thought, look, if I'm not on WestJet or Air Canada, if I'm not on, Delta Airlines, American, whatever the airlines are, the big ones, these are third world airlines. Do I trust them? Are the planes proper? They just duct tape together, all these different international airlines. No. The international airlines are a different class, Let me tell you this. We get on the flight and I'm also a little nervous, about jet lag. I've never really experienced jet lag. I've gone Toronto to Vancouver. That's 3 hours. That's not a big deal. So we're doing a little work and a little research on this. And one of the things that I kind of came across was live in the time zone you're going to be in. Okay, don't try and, okay, well, if I go to bed now, that's actually this time back home, so I can actually sleep at it. No, forget about that. Whatever time zone you're in, be in the time zone you're in. So we're on our way to Taiwan. We got to be in the Taiwanese time zone ASAP. So we get on the plane at midnight, and I am sitting there trying to calculate. But what I realize is I got to stay up about 5 hours on this flight. Okay, I got to stay up about 5, then I can go to sleep. So, and then I'll be set, kind of waking up in the morning in Taiwan or in Bali, right, when we're getting set to go. So that was fine. Get on the airplane. And let me tell you, and they serve the meals too, based on what time zone you're going to be in. So knowing that you get on the plane, it's probably lunchtime, dinner time, supper time. They serve you supper. And then you're going to give your 5 hours. And then when you wake up, it's probably morning time there. So you're going to get breakfast, which was awesome. We had a drink. We had a snack. And they were coming around with a hot meal, all in the time that I don't think a Canadian airline would have given me a bag of peanuts. Okay? Like fast. There was a pillow and a blanket waiting in my chair. And we were not in any first class. Okay? We were in with the regular folks. Okay? Because we're regular folks. Yes. We finally got the comments logged in. So we do say good day to everybody that's watching on the stream. But we get on the plane, have our meal. I stay up, watch a couple of shows, and then I conk out. And let me tell you, great sleep. Woke up, they were serving breakfast. It's awesome. Like the flight was great, the communication was great, the service was fantastic. Let me tell you, it was great. Here's something else I learned: get up and walk around on the flight. Okay, I did not. 12-hour flight. Didn't go to the bathroom once. Didn't stand up once. So when we got down to Bali, the ankles were a little swollen. Okay, took a night to get those back to normal. They were a little swollen, but overall, it it was okay. It was okay. But we had a great time. Got down into Bali. It was relaxing. Great island there. The beach was awesome. First time being down into the Indian Ocean, so that was all really cool. But good to be back. Now, I will say this, from the last week that was, I was following. I still followed enough to write my weekly article on rodpeterson.com, which you can check out, and the other articles there at rodpeterson.com. On the way back, same thing. Had a great flight back. Spent the last 4 days in Palm Springs, and then finally made it in late last night. Okay, made it in late last night. Another great flight by Porter. And I got to say this, and sometimes this can be tough for everybody, and it's tough for me too. But communication is the key to everything. I think setting expectations and reality versus expectations. We were on the flight home, and we'll get to the sports talk here right away because Jim Barker's coming up in the next segment. But we were leaving, and the pilot came on and said it's going to be a little bumpy coming out of California. Be a little bumpy going across the Rocky Mountains, but by the time we get to Denver, it should smooth out and be smooth sailing the rest of the way. Cool. Now I can expect the turbulence. We get in there and they say, hey, turbulence is coming in about 5 minutes, so fasten your seatbelts. We're going to stop service. It's going to be some moderate turbulence. Cool. Then the pilot was slowing down. He was changing altitude to try and make the turbulence less turbulent. It was this novel concept I've never heard of before. It was the same thing with the EVA airline that we took to Indonesia. Like, typically, I'm on a plane. They don't tell you when the turbulence is coming. They just hammer the gas. They're not trying to slow down and make it an easy ride. They just hammer you through it, and you're a bag of nerves the entire time. But I was refreshed to have some great communication, so I will give you that. Look, it was awesome. We got in last night. We're going to do the show here today. Then tonight, we're heading back onto an airplane, going out to Saskatoon for the U Prairie Challenge. Going to be back in the Canada West play-by-play booth on tomorrow afternoon. So we've got the broadcast tomorrow. We'll finish prepping this afternoon, jump on a plane, get to Saskatoon, do the game. And then we're going to stay out in Sask for the week. And next Friday, got one more broadcast before coming home on Sunday. So it's going to be a little bit of traveling here for a while, and then we're going to roll. Good morning, David Asplund. Bomber Boys watching. He says, Rod Squad and Moosaholics assemble. Carlos Legena's watching. Monty's watching. Ryan, good morning, good afternoon if you're out on the east side. We've got questions in the Canadian Football League. We've got Jeff watching in Calgary. Who else is watching? John Ohm is here. Says, hey, do you have the get back to work fever, bro? Yeah, John, I do have the get back to work fever. I'm ready. And the schedule is getting busy with hockey coming up, football, down the stretch drive. It is going to be fantastic here the rest of the way. The other thing that happened, I don't know if you can tell, but I am sweating buckets right now, like buckets. We got home, and our building, we're in a pretty nice building, good area of Southern Ontario. And they had switched over about a week ago from the cooling system to the heating system. I'm not kidding. That thermostat right up there on the wall said 38 degrees. It says 34 right now inside. We cannot cool it down. There is no air conditioning. We got the fan going. We've got the window open. It was 6 degrees outside, which I didn't love this morning, but went out for a crisp morning walk at 6 degrees after being in tropical weather for a while. It's we'll handle it. We'll persevere through this, no doubt. What else do we got here? Watching on the chat, BW says, Moose, good to see you. Good to see you guys too. Yeah, John Oma says the prestigious airlines overseas, top notch. They absolutely are top notch, no doubt. So appreciate everybody who's watching. We'll have more stories a little bit later on when we got some more time to kill, but we got to get to football talk. There is so much going on right now. I saw it last night. Somebody said October is the best sports month of the year, and it just might be. Rod and I argue about this a little bit. Is spring the best? Is fall the best? I'm more of a football guy than Rod. I think he's more of a hockey guy first. This is it. Again, both of us have been kind of getting swept up in baseball playoffs, and last night in the majors in the ALCS was unbelievable. Like, let me tell you, the way the leads changed in that game, and then the walk-off from the Guardians from Fry in the bottom of the inning. Oh my goodness, it was unbelievable. And it has me thinking, what would be a more dream World Series matchup? And, do you want to see Cleveland and the Mets, Cleveland and the Dodgers, or something more historic like Yankees-Dodgers or Yankees-Mets have the Subway Series? I think that's unreal. So baseball's flying. Hockey's back. McDavid got his first goal last night and was really pumped. The Oilers have won 2 in a row. Are we calling them back already, officially back? Steven Stamkos has yet to register a point. Are we concerned in Nashville about the slow start? Vancouver got off the schneid. They're winning games. They won last night in overtime, but Elias Pedersen still has struggled, hasn't scored an even strength goal in 25 straight games, including the playoffs. I know they're concerned in Vancouver. I've seen some of the frustration. That's interesting. But to football, and the Canadian Football League is getting set for the final 2 weeks. Vernon Adams Jr. gets the start for BC this week. We're going to ask Jim Barker about that. The Saskatchewan Roughriders are, when you look at playoff positioning, there's only a few things that can happen. One is that battle for first place between Winnipeg and Saskatchewan. The Bombers have a 1-point lead. They control their own destiny. Montreal's locked up first, but the battle for second is still very much alive between Toronto and Ottawa. That will be interesting. I don't know where I fall. Where I fall on the whole, do you want first place or do you want to play the week? Rest versus rust, all that business. I fall on, you play to win every game and let the chips fall where they may. Okay? You play to win. You don't play to try and manage the schedule or manage the situation, because that at the end of the day will come back to bite you. I really believe it. When you try and manipulate, not manage the situation, when you try and manipulate situations, it comes back to bite you. I think you play to win football games and let things fall where they will. But we'll ask Jim about that and other goings on in the league ahead of the final 2 weeks of the season, okay? Appreciate you being along for the ride and being patient. We still got to come up with a poll question. So if you have a poll question idea, drop it into the chat. I got a couple we'll tinker with, but as we get through this first hour, we'll drop in today's poll question as well. The warm-up is for SeatGiant.ca. Get the best deals on tickets, Canadian-owned and operated, SeatGiant.ca. Use the promo code RPShow, and you'll get a discount at checkout, okay? Rod Pedersen Show. Football Friday is rolling on. We'll go to the CFL and TSN's Jim Barker when we come back. It is Football Friday. You're watching on Game Plus Television, YouTube Live, or you're listening on the podcast, Apple and Spotify.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Did you know that you can help save life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Welcome back to the RP Show. Darren Dupont in with you, and it's good to be back. It is really good to be back after a couple of weeks off, and truly off. I will say this, and Jim will know, it is very tough in what we do, and then a little different too, to really take a vacation. You know, even probably as a coach or whatever, you go away, but you're still taking a couple of calls, you still answer some emails, you book a meeting, you watch some film, all the rest. And to be honest, I can't remember the last time I've taken a vacation. I've gone away to Montreal, I've gone away down to Palm Springs. We've gone away, but I still drop in, make appearances on the show. You're still taking a couple of sales meetings. You're still doing work. This was truly the first time I've taken a vacation. The phone didn't work, and I didn't even try to make it work. So thankful for everybody, Rod, Clark, Jordan, Steven, everybody, Joe, who really took care of business when I was gone. Let's bring in Jim Barker from the CFL and TSN and say, happy Football Friday, Jim.
Thank you very much, Moose. Look, you look refreshed and ready to roll.
I am ready to roll. It's good. It's good to be back. Catch me up.
You're right. You're right about vacations in our I've never been able to go to Europe because Europe, the months or the times that I have off, and I would only have a week or 2 weeks off, are really difficult. Now that I'm doing television, it's a little different, but I'm free up until about May, but it's real rainy over there. So my one and only vacation was to New Zealand, down by where you were, because it's summertime in December there. And so
that's perfect.
That's great that you got away for that long.
So catch me up, because, I didn't get to watch the games down there, but you follow as much as you can. You see some of the content. So when we head into week 20 and the 3 games we got on tap, what are you looking forward to in the league this week?
Well, this week's I'm actually away. I'm in Southern California at my 50th high school reunion. So that's
all right.
That's something I've been looking forward to. And so I'm down in Pasadena and getting ready for that tomorrow. So I'm not gonna be involved this week. But there's two games that to me are really the Calgary game. Calgary Hamilton is, again, it's tough to even talk about. I mean, Hamilton is getting better, and but the other two games, Ottawa and Toronto, is huge because somebody's going to get the home field for that playoff game. And that's huge when you look at Toronto's record at home is so much better than it is on the road. And Ottawa's record is so much better at home. So this is a huge game for both teams. I am actually looking forward to it. I'm 3 hours different, so it kicks off at noon here. So I'm going to be able to see the entire thing in its entirety prior to the reunion.
Isn't that great?
And I am looking forward. I am looking forward to that. Ottawa, I think, is going to get some guys back this week. They haven't played well. I mean, they're backing in, kind of like the BC Lions. That's the thing intriguing about the other game, is the BC Lions. They're a team in turmoil right now. I mean, they got blasted, absolutely blasted last week in a game that they needed to play well, and Saskatchewan basically physically beat them up. It was like it was really. As I watched the game, I thought BC hasn't changed from last year, because I don't know if you remember, but last year I talked a lot about their problem against Winnipeg was being able to hang physically. Could they handle what Winnipeg does, their run game, their lines, and could they handle it? Well, that was the problem against Saskatchewan, because Saskatchewan physically just beat them up. I mean, from the very beginning, they out-hit them, they out-hustled them. It was just I almost got a weird feeling watching BC as to, what are they? They didn't seem to be into the ball game, which was shocking to me. And they've got a game this week against Montreal, who, again, Montreal is winning, but they're not doing it the way they want to do it. Cody should be back this week, and I'm guessing they'll play him some. The game means nothing. It's kind of like Toronto last year. They've been playing a lot of meaningless games, and we know what happened to Toronto in the playoff game. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Montreal. I think for them to be able to go out there and win that game would be huge. For BC, this game is as big as any game, because Vernon Adams comes in at quarterback, and what happens there? And if he plays great and he takes them to a Grey Cup, and they actually make the Grey Cup with VA there, what do you do with Nathan Rourke and his $800,000 contract? I mean, it's a really kind of, I'm not going to say dicey, but we talk about it a lot. I'm kind of a believer when you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. But when you have two great quarterbacks, as long as you're winning, it's the greatest thing in the world. But when you don't win, there's division that happens, and that's what their team's playing like. Their team's playing like there's people in that locker room that think VA should be playing, that think this was VA's team. He got him to this point, and yeah, he was hurt, and Nathan Rourke came back, but Nathan Rourke hasn't done anything to take that job. I think Rick Campbell was behind a rock and a hard place and had to make this move. I just think it was a move he really had no choice. What happens now is how VA plays. And, if he plays poorly and they go back to Nathan, then, they just, that it is what it is. But if he plays great, I think now it becomes really interesting offseason for BC in terms of what they're going to do. And, I'm sure they're going to want to move one of them. There's no way they can keep both unless they just don't care about the salary cap, because
it's a tough spot.
Nathan's making twice what some teams are paying their starting quarterback. So yeah, it's a very difficult situation. And again, handling it this year, I said from the very beginning on this show, it could be great, but it could go into the toilet in a hurry, and that's what's happened. I mean, Rick Campbell is in the worst position anybody could be in, because you got this great quarterback that half your team probably wants to play. yet you got your franchise quarterback who's really, he's okay. He hasn't played horribly. Lapo did a great thing online that you can watch on some of his mistakes. I mean, he hasn't played horribly, but he hasn't done anything to say, I'm the best quarterback in this league. Anybody who's been watching can say that he hasn't done that. And maybe the expectations were too high because of what he did. But that, to me, is the game of the week. Even though the Ottawa-Toronto game is for all the marbles, and I think for Chad Kelly, it's a huge game at home. For Ottawa, what are they? I just, they last week played with 5 Canadian offensive linemen for the last 2 weeks, and they've survived. I mean, there was pressure, but they've survived. This week, Drake Centers comes back to play left tackle, and will they physically? They haven't tried running the ball since Rock Armstead left, and they need to run the ball. This time of the year, Moose, it's about being physical. And I say that on the show all the time. The other panel people, they get sick of hearing it because, to me, the team that goes out and smacks the other one in the mouth is the team that's going to win this time of year. And that's exactly what Saskatchewan, what Saskatchewan did last week. They went out and punched him in the mouth and said, don't come into my house and think you're going to do anything. And there was no response from the BC Lions. And it was, so, it's really intriguing, those Saturday games. So tonight's game, I wish I had something exciting to say about Calgary and Hamilton.
Well,
but
let's settle on that for a second, because with Hamilton, Calgary's got some questions, right? And we're going to deal with that. But there's been at least some good story around the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the last half of the season. They've played better. Bo's played better. Chris Jones has got that defense playing a little bit better. So it makes me wonder, what does this team do in the offseason? And what direction do they go in the offseason, or do they kind of bring it back?
That's the great question, is do you bring Bo Levi back? He's played fantastic. He's played MOP level. I can't vote for an MOP who doesn't make the playoffs. I just can't do it. Because to me, the most outstanding player, makes all the players around him better. And that's not Bo's problem. I mean, Bo can't do anything about that horrible defense they had the first 5 weeks, and he feels like if we don't score every single time, we're not going to win. And there's a lot of pressure to that. And once Chris Jones came in and that defense started playing better, he could now play his game. And I think Scott Milanovich, they've started to get on the same wavelength. But is that what Scott's going to want to go in, or the organization's going to want to go into the league with? Or is Taylor Powell going to be their guy? And I think that's a really interesting question. That again, the fans in Hamilton, they're gonna get sold something. Now, how much are they going to buy it? I think that's the big question, because they're going to get sold something. Either Bo's got more time, or we're going to keep Bo as a backup and let Taylor try to do what he does. But now you run into, how's that leash when you've got a last year? Because I believe he's played at an MOP level, Bo Levi. And if his team would have made the playoffs, I'd have voted for him for most outstanding player. But I just can't do it because I just believe so strongly in winning when you're a quarterback. That's the sign of I got a chance to coach Doug Flutie. And Doug Flutie's thing wasn't about winning. It was about every guy on that football team was going to have their best year playing with him. It might be the right guard. And I was the offensive line coach back then, and he would say, Jim, where's our matchup issues? And, it might be our right guard, who was Dan Payne, against a little quick defensive lineman. And he would say, if that guy makes a tackle, that's on me. And Dan Payne gave up no sacks when Doug Flutie was there. Obviously, his greatest season as a football player. That was what Doug Flutie was about. We were hammering Winnipeg one game, winning by 40, something like that, in 97. And Don wanted him to come out. And he said, no, I need to get Dwayne Demetrician. I need to get him a touchdown before I come out. And sure enough, the next time we get the ball, boom, we go down. Dwayne Demetrician scores. Then he goes to Don, okay, I'm good. I can come out, but I needed to get that. It was important to him. that every guy, guard, tackle, receiver, running back, Robert Drummond, I mean, he used Robert Drummond in a way that he was never used before or then after that, because Matt Flutie had that outstanding player. To me, he was the ultimate, because everybody around him was outstanding. And that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, really is. And we'll be curious to see, how that shakes down and if Bo garners any votes in the MOP race. I'm sure he will. He's played well, but I'm with you. I think you got to be a playoff team to win that award. It's not a most valuable player award, but you got to have some sort of valuable player in it.
And there's your poll question. Should a player who doesn't win or doesn't get into the playoffs be considered for MOP?
Done. You hear that, guys? Let's get that up on YouTube ASAP. We sold it. Enjoy Pasadena, Jim, and congrats on the 50th high school reunion.
Thank you. Thank you. And I will have a great time, and I'll be back at it next week.
Awesome. Jim Barker, the CFL on TSN. Enjoying the week off down in Southern California. And we got our poll question. I'll get that up on Twitter in the commercial break. And then we'll come back. We'll break that down. A couple more CFL thoughts. And get to some more here on a Football Friday. It's going to be fun. We got our CFL picks coming up. Rod has loaded his in to the group chat. We've got a deal or no deal we're going to play, me, myself, and I. NFL version a little bit later on next hour. A little bit of NHL talk because I want to get caught up on that. And then a little bit more on the college U Sports scene too. So a full Football Friday. We'll get to your questions too if you've got some more. Please keep me going here on the show. The Rod Pedersen Show rolls on Friday on Game Plus Television, YouTube, WQEE, Apple, and Spotify.
Is on and here comes pride in the backstretch.
Celebrate 40 years of Sawyer Brown.
Some girls don't like boys like me.
With Shenandoah.
You got to get me to the church on the Cumberland Road.
Plus special guest George Fox. Saturday, October 26th, Moose Jaw Event Center.
I'll take the dirt road.
Tickets are on sale now at the Moose Jaw Event Center box office or online at sasktix.ca.
6 days on the road and I'm
Sawyer Brown and Shenandoah live.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Catching up on the comments in the YouTube chat. Jeff says, full vacations are not always worth it due to the piles you come home to. And remember, if there are no piles, you aren't that important. I don't know about that, because the further you get up on the success chart or the list, the less like piles of things you have to accomplish. It's more about putting out fires. And we got a great team of firefighters around here that handle a lot of that. And you got to make sure that when you do leave, there's somebody there to pick up the slack. And everybody did a great job picking up the slack, no doubt. And we took a nice little break, which is great. Monty in Saskatoon says the Saskatoon Blades 8-1-1. How about that? Had a chance in Palm Desert to be down there when the former Blades coach Brendan Sawney was down there with the Coachella Valley Firebirds. He's the assistant coach with Derek Laxdale's team. They were welcoming in on Wednesday the Abbotsford, the Wranglers, Abbotsford Heat, the Calgary Wranglers. Come on, Darren. But didn't get to go to the game. We were a little under the weather, so didn't check out the game. But we're wanted to. We're battling that a little bit, but that was fun. The Blades, 8-1-1, and they're getting it done with some two young prospects. Cooper Williams out of Calgary is one. Zach Olson's another. 16 years old, each of them. Cooper Williams had 10 points in the team's first 9 games. And Dan De Silva, the assistant coach, has done great work. I was on CBC a couple of days ago, I think it was yesterday, talking about the Blades with Stephanie Massicott. That was great. Appreciate them having me on. And the Blades are doing well out in Saskatoon. Also going to be doing some OHL games coming up. Oshawa Generals coming up here in a little bit. So it's fun getting into the junior hockey sphere and into that realm. Going to be doing a little bit of that coming up here shortly. Poll question is up. Did we get it up on YouTube yet, or do you guys have access to that? I'm not sure if we do or not. But Steven's on it. He's going to get it up there, no doubt. And we got Rod's CFL picks. I don't know if we're going to save that till next hour. No, you know what? We're going to get to the CFL picks here right away and continue on with this Week 20 conversation around the league, because Calgary is in Hamilton tonight. Tomorrow, Ottawa is in Toronto, and BC welcomes Montreal. Cody Fajardo is going to travel with the Alouettes. Is he going to play? We're not sure. They still have another game next week against Winnipeg. That will be interesting. It's also interesting because Winnipeg and Saskatchewan, that's the other battle for positioning for first place in the West. Now, when you look at that game, we're looking ahead to next week. Saskatchewan is home to Calgary. Advantage Saskatchewan. Montreal's home to Winnipeg. You would say advantage, I don't know. But I would say advantage Winnipeg because I don't know what Montreal's going to do. Here's the thing. Montreal's going to get a bye in the first round of the playoffs. And you don't want to go in rusty. You want to play to win games, but you need to keep everybody healthy. So do you play Cody Fajardo and your guys more this week and then almost look at 2 weeks of resting guys? I almost don't. So I could see Montreal playing their guys a little more next week and having more of a game. But it's looking pretty good for Winnipeg. They're in a good spot. And I would say as of today, Winnipeg might be the best team in the Canadian Football League. Okay? I believe that. They've played the best. They've looked the best. I would put Winnipeg at the top of my power rankings. Montreal second, Saskatchewan third. That's what I would have in my power rankings. As of today, that could change. Saskatchewan has looked really, really good, and I'm excited to get back to that province. And hopefully on Saturday, well, I don't know if I'm going to make it to the game next Saturday. So this week in the league, Calgary at Hamilton, Ottawa, Toronto. That's a big game for Ottawa and Toronto. Both of the Red Blacks and the Argos will play next week. Ottawa's home to Hamilton next week. Toronto's on the road in Edmonton. So there's still some jockeying for the final playoff positions in the East, who will host that East semifinal game. But Steven, do you have the graphic from the WhatsApp chat from our picks? I dropped it in there this morning. If you have it, yeah, bring that up when you can. There we go. We got it up here. So there's our picks. That's where we sit. And we can leave this up for a minute because there's nobody else on this segment. Then we got it on the full screen. I like it. So Rod was a perfect 4-0 last week. He picked Toronto to beat Winnipeg and won that one. I was 3-1, so I fall behind. I'm 4 games back, okay? And when you look at the schedule here, we've got 4 games next week, 3 this week. I've only got 7 games to try and make up 4 games in our standings. So I'm going to have to pick somewhat strategically. Next week on the show, we'll both be on the air together, and we'll make our picks, and it won't be as easy for me. This week, Rod's already submitted his picks, so I can be a little more strategic. So here we go. I'm just pulling up Rod's picks. He sent them in this morning as he's traveling. Rod is going to go ahead and pick Hamilton in the game tonight over Calgary. I want to pick Calgary. I do. I just don't know if I can be that strategic. You know, if I don't get this right, there won't even be a chance for me next week. So, and then he's got Hamilton. He's going to pick Toronto to beat Ottawa and BC to beat Montreal. And to be honest, if I was picking without knowing his picks, I'd pick the same 3. Oh, I am going to go with Hamilton. Now, the game is in Toronto. I'm going to go with Hamilton to beat Calgary. The game is in Toronto, which makes things very difficult. Hamilton is favored by 4.5 points, according to FanDuel. Toronto is a 4.5-point favorite over Ottawa, and BC are short 1.5-point home favorites over Montreal. Odds for FanDuel. So I think, you know, when I look at BC and Vernon Adams is going to get the start, and I think we didn't get a chance to really go a lot. I mean, we got into this quite a bit with Jim, but when BC is going into this game with Vernon Adams as your starting quarterback, let's settle on this for a second. You're going in with VA as your starter. If he plays well, they got the bye next week. And then they go into the playoffs. If he plays well, I would think Vernon Adams is going to start in the playoff game against Saskatchewan or Winnipeg. He's going to play. If he plays good, he's going to play. If they win, period, regardless of how he plays, I think he starts. He can play poorly, but if they win, he starts. Momentum for the team, better for the team, other players playing better because he's in the football game. That's the idea, what you're going for. Now, if they lose, I think you got some questions if you're Rick Campbell, and it makes things somewhat difficult because if he plays really well, you think we got to go back to him and play. If there was, you know, it depends on what this game looks like. But if he doesn't play well and they lose, then you got to think long and hard about what you're going to do in the playoff game. Are you going to go back to Nathan Rourke? Are you going to stick with VA? What are you going to do? If this all fizzles out and VA's the quarterback, it makes it really easy in the offseason to move on from VA. You know, you gave him the shot down the stretch here in the last week of the regular season and in the playoffs. Didn't work. It fizzles out. We're going to go with Nathan with a full offseason, and Vernon's going to get dealt in the offseason. No problem. But if VA plays well, now you get some questions. And I think we're all sitting here as fans of the league intrigued by what this is going to look like. And I think, I'm with Jim. That's the game of the week. Ottawa and Toronto both have games next week, so it's not like the playoff game will be decided. Could be. It could be decided this week. And Toronto really controls their destiny in this situation. It's a head-to-head game. It's really big. But I think, the situation in BC is so juicy. Everybody's talking about it. I saw Farhan with his talk on social about it. I saw Davis and Milt on their podcast talking about it. We're going to talk to Damon Allen, a Hall of Fame quarterback, next hour about it. It's very, very intriguing. And it'll all hinge a little bit on how much does Cody Fajardo play and what does Montreal bring to the table. I think there's plenty of intrigue there. So, Rod, picks. Let's get back to stay on focus here, on task. Rod's got Hamilton, Toronto, BC, all the home teams. I'd have to run the table next week. I have to pick up some ground. I need something to go my way. Who's got the best chance of an upset? You know what? I'm going to take Calgary. I've been riding the Hamilton Tiger Cats, but I'm going to take Calgary. Lock it in. I'm taking Calgary. I'm taking Ottawa, too. And I'm taking BC. So I'm going to take Calgary, Ottawa, and BC, and I think I'm going to pick up 2 games on Rod, and the last week is going to be very, very intriguing. So Calgary, Ottawa, BC are my picks. Okay, we'll come back and we'll wrap up hour 1 on the other side of this break. I want to check in with your comments. We'll go to the text line for Altura. The Altura text line is open right now, 902-518-3033. Let's jump in there and see what we got. We got a few questions loaded up on the text line. Oh, yeah, we do. So we'll get to those coming up here in just a couple of minutes, okay? The RP Show continues, and you're watching live across Canada and throughout the United States on the Game Plus Television Network.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Hey, welcome back to the program. Darren DuPont with you here on a Football Friday. Thanks to you and thanks to Jim Barker. Steven, you might have to go back on the video, but on a day where I come in, just out of vacation and, not necessarily the most prepped to host a show, we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants and we're getting the viewers involved and all the rest. I think I asked Jim a simple, what's on your mind heading into the week? And I think he talked for 9 minutes. I don't think he says they were talking about it in the control room. Yeah, I think he talked for 8 or 9 minutes straight. I'm looking down. I'm like, the interview's over half over. And I didn't have to have any prep for that. Jim is a lifesaver for that, but he's so intelligent, knows the game so well, and so dialed in, and he's such a treat to have on the show. And we had a great little convo, so I thought that was awesome. To the text line for Alatura, 902-518-3033. Get your texts in now. Steve is watching in Hamilton. He says no way should be considered for MOP. Jim, you have forgotten the Cats were down by 30 at the beginning of the year. Chris Jones should be the MOC, most outstanding coach. I think Chris Jones has been a real big part of that turnaround. Mike is watching, says, I really believe Trevor Harris is the best QB in the league. He constantly looks off receivers while the initial read is covered. And had he stayed healthy this year, he'd be most certainly leading candidate for MVP in a year where it is up for grabs. Bill Dalby says, Ottawa great. Whit Tucker passed away. He was a great receiver for the Ottawa Rough Riders in the 60s and 70s. Him and QB Russ Jackson were a fantastic combo. I imagine Jim Barker knew him well. I knew him. Bill from Brantford, Ontario. Who else is watching? Noni was watching as well in Calgary. Says, morning, Moose. Nice to have you back and glad you had a nice holiday. Hope you have a great time in the motherland, and hope you will you still be in Regina to watch the Riders hopefully beat the Stamps next Saturday? Maybe. Nephew's got a birthday party that same night. I may have to make the tough choices. Family comes first. We got more in here. Laverne watching in Swift Current sent in a photo. I got to dive into that. And a couple of texts rolled in late from yesterday. We'll get to those on the other side next hour. Thanks to Jim Barker for joining us here in Hour 1. And hope you'll stick around. Hour 2 on Game Plus coming up next.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Right now, Darren.
You know, Andre DuPont, the old Philadelphia Flyer tough guy, was nicknamed Moose.
And you being a tough guy.
Right. But in hockey, when I was younger, another player came across the middle and made the most devastating check I've ever made in my life. Take off the helmet, and it's a girl. And so the coach laughed, "Attaboy, Moose," just like the Moose. And I'm like, I have no idea who that is, right?
The one sports show where roughing is encouraged.
Welcome to Hour 2 of the RP Show and next episode here of the RP Podcast. But we're live on the Game Plus Television Network, too. We welcome you back to the program. Darren DuPont in for Rod Pedersen, who is traveling. He's got a dinner, a banquet, I think he's hosting in Saskatchewan, one of the guests and speaker there. So that's going to be fun. He'll be back in the chair next week. But for today, and I believe Monday as well, you and me. So we're going to have some fun here. I'm back from vacation, which was awesome. It was great to get away. Never been across the ocean to the other side of the world before. That was interesting. But I will tell you this. What I learned in my first episode overseas, I have never experienced jet lag, and I still haven't experienced jet lag. Like, master when it comes to jet lag. Like, seriously, master when it comes to jet lag. I slept at the perfect time. I knew exactly what to do. It was all about getting on the time zone that you're going to be in as fast as possible. Don't try and mess around. We got on the airplane at midnight in LA on our way there. And I knew I needed to stay awake for about 5 or 6 hours to be on the right time zone. And then it was going to be game on. So I stayed awake 5 or 6 hours, no problem. And then I fell asleep. Woke up, enjoyed the day, got to where we were going, and went to bed at a normal hour there. But I will tell you this. This is something that happened on this vacation. For those of you who know me and know me well, you will know that I am not a morning person. And that's an interesting concept. When I say I'm not a morning person, I love being up in the morning. And when I'm awake in the morning, like I am massively productive. I'll get a workout in, I'll have my coffee, I'll catch up, I'll get outside, I'll, get some emails done. But it is just really difficult to get me awake in the morning. Okay. I'm like Dan Lanning. I don't know if you saw this. Dan Lanning, the Oregon Ducks head coach, was on the Dan Patrick show. And they asked him about his alarm clock. And they guessed, what time does Dan Lanning wake up? 4:45, 5:15, 6 o'clock, 5:30. What time does he get up? And he showed his phone. Dan Lanning has about 15 alarms, right? And who can relate? I'm sure a lot of you can. You know what time you have to get up, but you set all those alarms? That's me, right? And Leanne hates it. I was playing her the clip last night, and she's like, oh my gosh, I totally relate to his wife. That's me. But so I can't go to bed early. I cannot fall asleep at night, and I cannot wake up in the morning, okay? I will stay awake. TV's on. I got to wind down. I got to eat some food. I got to do all these things. And I can't get to bed. I just want to keep staying awake. My brain is firing. Now, I go across the ocean, and all of a sudden, I'm asleep at 9 p.m., and I'm awake at 5:45 without my alarm was set for 6. I woke up at 5:45, canceled my alarm, made an espresso, caught up on, the news on my phone, the scores, and all the rest. And actually, because I was overseas, the games were just starting at 7 a.m. It was 12 hours off of Eastern time. So 7 o'clock Eastern, 7 a.m., where I was waking up the next morning. We were ahead of the game. That was cool. But I became this early to bed, early to rise person. And it's kind of continued. Like I'm dozing off watching a show at 9 o'clock now. And I kind of like this guy that I've become. I really do. So we're going to see if this continues for a little bit. What do they say? 21 days to make a habit, 90 days to make it permanent. We're going to see if we can make this happen. We're getting close. And today I was up really early. No snooze button. Beat the alarm clock. So life is good. Something happened when I went across. Is it the Prime Meridian or whatever it is? Because you're going back in time, right? I'm going to L.A., 3 hours back in time. Then I'm going to across Hawaii, another 3 hours back in time. Then all of a sudden, whoop, you went ahead 17 hours, and all of a sudden you're ahead of the game. It just happens across the ocean. I thought that was very interesting. I don't know what it is. YouTube chat, we say hello to everybody watching on YouTube. Arlan Bruce this morning is watching. He says, RP show with the Moose. He says, does Coach Mace win Coach of the Year? Also, will the BC Lions achieve the elephant in the room, making it to a home Grey Cup? Okay, Coach of the Year in the Canadian Football League. And we can do this a little bit later on, too. I think and this is wide open. Like this CFL season has been bananas, wide open. I look at, let's go to the East. Montreal's been great for, all year, kind of not playing the right way or the way they maybe want to play down the stretch a little bit. Okay, Ottawa was really good out of the gate, and they've kind of, struggled to have an identity here down the stretch. That's tough. Toronto's been up and down. Obviously, if you're not making the playoffs, you're not going to have a Coach of the Year. In Hamilton, you look at the West, Calgary, and that's been a mess largely. It's been really tough in BC. Edmonton, they've had 2 coaches, so not a Coach of the Year situation. And then I look at Saskatchewan and Winnipeg, and I think, man, the job that Mike O'Shea has done in Winnipeg after the tough start that they had, that's been really impressive. And they've become the best team in the Canadian Football League, in my opinion. So do you look at Mike O'Shea as a Coach of the Year candidate? I think he's in the conversation very much. I look at Corey Mason, Saskatchewan, and they had a great start, tough middle. And we thought, man, here we go again with this post-Labor Day stuff. But they flipped it around. And they look like a top 3 team in the Canadian Football League. They really do. Could be a Coach of the Year. And then the third candidate I would have in that Coach of the Year conversation, and probably the odds-on favorite to win Coach of the Year has got to be Jason Moss in Montreal. Consistently, beginning to end, the best team in the league has been Montreal. Consistently. Today, I think the best team is Winnipeg. I do. But consistently, top to bottom, all season long, it's been Montreal. And I think that Jason Moss is got to be the front. I think Jason Moss has to be the front runner for Coach of the Year. I really do. But there's a case to be made for Mike O'Shea. And if Saskatchewan can find a way to win next week against Calgary, and that's not a stretch. I say find a way to win like it's the difficult thing. It is difficult to win in this league. In pro sports, it's hard to win, even against inferior opponents, which we would say Calgary is. They're not making the playoffs this year, okay? But let's say Saskatchewan wins next week and Winnipeg loses to Montreal. Saskatchewan gets in as the number 1 seed in the West. There's a case to be made that Corey Mace is up for the head coach of the year. I think when I look at Winnipeg and Saskatchewan down the stretch, both teams and both of these coaches, Corey Mace and Mike O'Shea, have done a great job of getting these teams turned around and focused heading towards the playoffs. I think whoever finishes first will be the West nominee for Coach of the Year. And it's obviously Jason Moss in Montreal. And it's not just about finishing first. It's not just taking the teams who finish first, but it's about the whole body of work and the whole situation. I think, you can make a case for both these guys. If they both win next week and Winnipeg finishes first and Saskatchewan finishes second, I still think there's a case to be made for Corey Mace as Coach of the Year in the West. But it's going to be really difficult. I really think this is Jason Moss's award to lose. And again, they'll play this week. They'll play next week. It'll, be a little interesting to see how they finish the season. But that's where I would go on my Coach of the Year situation. Tony from George Fox County is writing in, says, I believe George Fox Country. I believe the Stamps locker room is upset at Dave sticking with Meyer this year, and a losing cause, evidently. He's going back and forth with Jeff, the Stamps fan, on this. Barflies writes in, says, Coach of the Year should not be limited to head coaches. Would like to see it opened up to coordinators as well. Jordan Younger for Coach of the Year. Yeah, and I mean, if the Hamilton Tiger Cats have gotten in, what about Chris Jones for Coach of the Year? That would have been like, you might as well, excuse me, light some dynamite and blow up social media if that happened. Another comment here says, Moose, all coaches should be eligible. Doesn't matter how many wins or losses or a Grey Cup. I agree. And they are all eligible. But you got to look at the full body of work. And you got to look at, who is the Coach of the Year. And I think those three, for me, are your finalists. And it's Mike O'Shea and Corey Mace in the West. And it's easily Jason Moss in the East. I don't know that we're going to have a lot of argument there. But I'd love to hear more of your thoughts. I really would. And who you think. What did O'Shea have last year that his old team did? Did Mace walk into a team that did nothing the year before and sucked in 2022? Yes, that is something. But when you look at these teams, it was a really tough situation last year for the Riders, who lost Trevor Harris and then couldn't get anything going. They were a really good team with Trevor Harris at the beginning of the year. And it was a similar situation here. Right? This season, when he went down, they kind of didn't play well. Now, they didn't play well when he came back initially, but they've got that figured out, and they're playing really well. Jarius Jackson should win Coach of the Year. Look at what he's done in Edmonton, turning this team around. He has, but I think they needed to get into the playoffs and really climb the mountain, which they were really close to doing, by the way. If they had done that, we may have been talking about Jarius Jackson in the Coach of the Year situation. Poll question relates to the MOP, and it was submitted by Jim Barker in hour 1. Should a player whose team isn't in the playoffs be considered for MOP? Right in right now. What are they saying? I believe on Twitter, 55% are saying yes. Same on YouTube. So they think that Bo Levi should be considered for MOP. Why not? Why not? Text line is open, 902-518-3033. I think there's going to be a few more texts popping in, so get your text messages in. Oh, yeah. A few more are coming in. And guys, I threw a picture in the group chat from the text line. I want you to pull that up next segment. Okay, we'll play that next segment. I thought that was pretty cool. What else do we got here coming up? There was a lot of stuff going on in the National Hockey League. I want to touch on that a little bit. And then we're going to get back to football. We're also going to play NFL Deal or No Deal heading into the weekend in the National Football League. Couple of hockey thoughts from last night. Elias Pedersen has been in a real slump. Vancouver was able to get a big overtime win, but Elias Pedersen, he hasn't scored now an even strength goal in 25 games. That includes the playoffs. They need him to be better, plain and simple. I don't know that. I mean, he's got such great playmaking abilities that I don't know that you're thinking that Pedersen needs to be a 50-goal guy in the National Hockey League, but you kind of expect him to be a 40-goal guy, do you not, consistently, for a team that really has struggled out of the gate? That was a question we had on the show yesterday, I believe. Who you more concerned about? Vancouver at the time, Edmonton, Colorado, Nashville. That's tough. You look at Dallas is 4-0 and the Avs are 0-4. It's a tough start for Colorado, but they've got enough firepower that I think they can turn this around. Edmonton now has won back-to-back games in the National Hockey League. Are they back fully? Are the Oilers back? McDavid scored the first time this year. Matthews in Toronto had a tough start to the year offensively. Didn't score until Wednesday night, the home game against LA. We were able to watch that down in Palm Springs, in Palm Desert. He finally scored, but I've been watching and listening to some of the analysis on Austin Matthews, and he's wearing the C now, and some of the analysis has been that he's playing the game differently. Not that he wasn't an engaged defensive player; he's a finalist for the Selke Award, but taking a little more responsibility and onus to being a leader and bringing everybody else along, and not so upset if he's not putting points on the board, but the team is winning. I think that's a huge step in maturity, and maybe that's a little bit of a leadership step this team needs going into the playoffs and going through the season. I don't know. It's been a good start in Toronto. And this week we got the debut of Prime Monday Night Hockey. I didn't get to watch it. I'm excited to watch this coming Monday. And on Thursday, we got NHL Coast to Coast on Prime. I love Andy Petrillo as a host. She is fantastic. If you watched either Prime Monday Night Hockey or you watched the NHL Coast to Coast, let me know what you thought of it. I was watching a lot of the clips this morning. It looked awesome. Like it was red zone for hockey. And I know we've seen that before. ESPN does it. Sportsnet did ice surfing for a bit with Steve Dangle. It didn't really go over well. But I thought it looked good. The clips looked good. I thought the content was great. There was a lot of great stuff there. So that was really interesting. And I'll leave you with this as we go to break. Watching the Thursday night football game last night between the Broncos and the Saints, Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit were discussing if Connor McDavid is the best NHL player of all time. Al Michaels said that he might be better than Gretzky. Are we really in that situation yet? And there's American analysts and sports commentators. Andrew Perloff was the one who actually alerted me to it last night. He's on CBS in the morning. We're not there yet, are we? And like Al Michaels is a respected broadcaster and a respected hockey guy. Like he's done a lot of hockey in his day. He knows the game. I don't think we're there yet. I honestly don't know that we're talking about McDavid being better than Crosby yet. Right? I mean, I think we all know McDavid's McDavid. I think we all look at it and say, look, when this is all said and done, he's going to be right there at the top, like with Gretzky. And Mario and Gordie Howe and Sidney Crosby and all these great players. And he's not going to be in the conversation. He's going to be the start of the conversation. I believe that's going to happen. Is he going to be better than Gretzky? I don't know. And I've seen some in Edmonton say, well, he's got to win a cup first. And I think that's probably where this starts. I don't think you put McDavid as anywhere near best player of all time until he's won a cup. Same in the conversation with Sidney Crosby. I don't think you're looking at McDavid all time being in a higher position than Crosby without winning at least one Stanley Cup. I think it's got to be more than that. Multiple cups to Edmonton. So, curious your thoughts. Text in on the Altura text line, 902-518-3033, or on the YouTube chat. We'll review those on the other side of the break. And a cool picture. It's hockey related. That's why I wanted to get into hockey. And if you can guess, without Googling it, in 1974, what was the award for winning NHL All-Star MVP? If you know, write it in. It's on the text line. I've got the answer coming up. Don't Google it. When it's been a car, it's been a cash prize, but in the 70s, it wasn't. We'll tell you after the break. It's the RP Show on the Game Plus television network. You're also listening to the podcast on Apple and Spotify.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men Without Hats. And Spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hey, welcome back to the RP Show, and welcome back to a Football Friday. We're going to get a little more hockey in before we go right back to football, but YouTube is open, the chat line is open, the Altura text line is open, 902-518-3033, and I want to get to the text line. We were talking hockey. The year was 1974. And the NHL All-Star Game awarded Gary Unger the MVP. And check out this photo. I think we got it loaded up, ready to go. He won a cow. Gary Unger won a cow for MVP. That was sent in to us from Laverne in Swift Current. And Laverne says, and a hell of a suit to boot. Gary Unger played 1,105 NHL games, 804 points with the Leafs, the Red Wings, the Blues, the Atlanta Flames, LA Kings, and finally 3 seasons with the Edmonton Oilers. He won a cow. That's pretty awesome. And, back in the day, I'm sure he could flip up and send that back to Calgary, where he's from, and get a pretty penny for that cow back in the day in the 70s. How about that? Thanks, Laverne, for the text coming in. 902-518-3033. More texts coming in. We got a Go Blades text. Ron Thompson writes in, says, good morning, Moose. Great show. And I'm exactly like you as far as staying up all the time. My trips have never caused me jet lag. Late nighter, late riser. Yeah, that's always the case. I've dreamed of being a morning person. I have just, my coffee. And I just want to be a morning person. And maybe I am. Maybe that unlocked it. I don't know. It was a trip to Bali. Yep. So who else wrote in here? We got a few more. Let's go back to, there was a couple came in yesterday. Kurt wrote in from Red Deer. Who will be the Grey Cup contenders? Riders and Owls are my pick. That's Kurt from Red Deer. I think you're looking at Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, BC, Montreal, Toronto, and Ottawa are the Grey Cup contenders. It's the Canadian Football League. You make the playoffs, you have a chance to get in, no doubt. Here's the question I had about the Riders coming into this game. Into the next week. I think you play to win the game, and you let the chips fall, but this rest versus rust, they have a chance to finish in first and get to, the West Final. Saskatchewan has finished first just 3 times since 1970. Now, they've won 2 of the 3 West Finals when they finished first, but they're 0 for 3 on Grey Cups. So all 3 times when they finished first, no Grey Cups, okay? 2 of 3 times they've won the West Final, made it to the Grey Cup, and lost. The 1966 Riders are the only Saskatchewan team to finish first in the West and go on to win the Grey Cup. Saskatchewan is 6-3 in home playoff games since 1988. So I've done my homework, a little bit of it. Look at the Riders' Grey Cup wins, okay? 2013, won the Grey Cup. They finished second. 2007, they won the Grey Cup. They finished second. 1989, they won the Grey Cup. They finished third. And in 1966, they finished first. Does any of this matter? But the last 2 times they've won the Grey Cup, the Riders have done it by finishing second, winning a home playoff game, going into the West Final on the road, winning that, and then going to the Grey Cup and winning. Pretty good at home, too, in the playoffs. And why not? It's a great place to play. So I don't think it matters what happens next week. And that's so far ahead of where we are right now, looking ahead to next week. And one more, Kirk in Toronto writes in. I'm not sure what we're talking about here. Talking about texting next week. It was a conversation with him and Rod. It came in late yesterday. I apologize, Kirk. If you want to rewrite it or send me another text, you absolutely can, but appreciate all the messages coming in right now on the program. Just loading up the text one more time. We got a few more popping in. Bob writes in on the Connor McDavid situation, says, Connor McDavid's a good player, not even on the Mount Rushmore. No, I agree with you. I think he will be on the Mount Rushmore. think he absolutely will be. I think that's not even a thing of, he's on pace to be on I think he's going to be on the Mount Rushmore. I think that is a foregone conclusion, that unless Connor McDavid quits hockey, he's going to be on the Mount Rushmore. Allie writes in from Sherwood Park, Alberta, and Allie says, happy Friday, happy Football Friday. Regarding your earlier story about Eva Air being a great experience, we flew Eva to Malaysia in 2017. Best long flight customer service we'd experienced. Have a great weekend, everyone. Yes, we get a positive RP bump to Eva Air. Like, let's go. I will try and fly Eva as much as they were great. Like, great. Fantastic customer service. The communication is just so key for me. So key. I'm not really sure what Bill wrote in as well from Brantford, Ontario. Bill, you got to send that. I'm not following. I'll write you back, and we'll see where we go from here. But there we go. To the YouTube chat. Let's see what we got down here in YouTube. Big fan writing and says, did somebody put something in your coffee to say that Crosby is the greatest? No Wayne Gretzky and maybe McDavid in the top 5, but Sidney Crosby not even in the top 10. I never said that Sidney Crosby's the greatest of all time, but he was in the conversation of greatest of this generation and the next generational talent. Look, Connor Bedard's probably going to be in this conversation too down the stretch. You look at Ovechkin and what he's trying to do in the situation of goal scoring and chasing down Gretzky's record. But Sidney Crosby is absolutely in higher company than Connor McDavid is right now and should be ranked higher on the list of all-time great players. Sidney Crosby played in an era where scoring wasn't the same. Sidney Crosby had to deal with some injuries. Sidney Crosby's done it for this country. He's done it for his team. He's delivered multiple Stanley Cups, 3 of them, and has showed up in key situations. And continues, by the way, to be an elite player, not just a good player, an elite player in the National Hockey League, well into his late 30s. So Sidney Crosby is absolutely right now, as a career, and his place among the all-time greats is a better, higher spot than Connor McDavid. Do I think it will end up that way? I do not. I think the way that things are going, I think nobody needs to panic. I think that Edmonton fans are fine. I believe fully that Connor McDavid will go down in history as a better player than Sidney Crosby. I think that's going to happen. I think Connor McDavid is going to deliver Stanley Cups for Edmonton. You just got to be patient. I think they're coming. I think Stanley Cups are coming to Edmonton. I do. John Ohm says, what about Ovi? Going to break 99's record. And that has another wrinkle into this whole thing. Ovechkin's got 1 Stanley Cup. How much does that matter? Those goals, there's an old saying, goals are worth more than assists, right? And Ovi has maybe been the best ever goal scorer. And you can argue that just scoring the most goals makes you the best goal scorer. I mean, that makes sense. I don't know. We'll see where it falls down. There's some great goal scorers in National Hockey League history. Some really great goal scorers. Ovechkin might really be the best of them all. I think the boys in Estevan are watching the Off the Hosel podcast. So we'll say good morning to Tarts and Drew watching there in Estevan. Love it. Keep it rolling. I know they're off to a good start. The whole SJHL's off to a great start this season. It's been fun to watch them, and love that they're watching. Just got back last night. Drew, we're due for a catch-up, so probably give you a shout this afternoon and see where we go. I'd love to know what you guys think. You guys are hockey guys. Right now, today, Crosby or McDavid? It's got to be Crosby, right? Stanley Cups matter. But I think at the end of the day, when all is said and done, it will be Connor McDavid. We still have to play NFL Deal or No Deal. We'll flip back to football. It is a football Friday. We've got U Sports football this weekend as well. And we'll get to that. We'll take a look at everything that's gone on in the world of football. The U Prairie Challenge is where I will be this weekend in Saskatchewan. Saskatoon, to be precise, for the Huskies and the Rams. That's going to be fun on Saturday. Thunder Hilltops is going on the weekend as well. U Sports football across the country is getting into the nitty-gritty. Montreal beat Laval in overtime last weekend on Saturday. So that was a big game after I think Laval had won the first one. Like, these two teams are just battling left and right. And it's just been a real treat to watch games across the country. Looking at some of the game, Western is home to Windsor this week. Carleton and Laurier should be fun. Laurier's been a great team this year. Manitoba's in Alberta, another big game, big playoff implications for the Alberta Golden Bears and the Canada West, which has never been tighter. And then, next week we'll get into some more of the nitty gritty in the final week of the regular season next week. And then in NCAA college football, you got Georgia and Texas, you got Alabama and Tennessee this week. You look at those games. First, you look at Alabama and Tennessee, both teams with a loss. And if you get to 2 losses, what does that do to your playoff chances? Everybody's running the odds. The calculators are going wild. You look at Texas and Georgia and the Longhorns, the number 1 team in the country. Georgia, although they lost to Alabama, a lot of people came out of that game still thinking Georgia's the better team. But if they lose a second time, where does their playoff chances go? That's going to be interesting. 2 great NCAA football games. We got the second final week in the Canadian Football League's regular season, and then the NFL gets going as well. We're going to get to deal or no deal coming up. We're going to talk to Hall of Fame quarterback Damon Allen is coming up after the break on the other side. I want to ask him about quarterback situations in BC, but I want to ask him about quarterback situations in Pittsburgh, too, with the Steelers. They've got a little bit of a QB controversy going on, and it might be Russell Wilson's team heading into Sunday. Talk about that as we flip to the NFL on the other side of the break, and a little more CFL talk as well. Get your questions in for Damon. It's the Rod Pedersen Show. You're watching across Canada and the U.S. on the Game Plus Television Network, watching live on YouTube, listening on WQEE or the podcast, Apple and Spotify.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Welcome back to the RP Show here on a Football Friday. Darren DuPont with you, in for Rod Pedersen, who's away, but he'll be back next week. He's traveling back to Saskatchewan. I'll follow him later tonight, be in the booth for some Canada West football this weekend, which will be a lot of fun. But we are getting set for Sunday in the National Football League. We're getting set for the second to last week in the Canadian Football League, and we are really excited to bring in Damon Allen, four-time Grey Cup champion and Hall of Famer. Damon, what's up, my man?
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing great. You're looking good. Where are we catching up with you today?
I'm in Texas right now and enjoying the great weather, but in the same time, you're still trying to keep up what's going on in Canada and football period, because NFL just started and the CFL is coming to position themselves for the playoffs. So it's a very interesting time right now.
Well, it really is. And it's an interesting time. It's a great time to have you on, because there's three situations I want to talk about. Well, and, I'm sure you're following it, because if you flipped on a television set in the U.S., they're all over it. But let's start in Canada with the Nathan Rourke situation and Vernon Adams and what they're doing with their quarterbacks. I guess just overall, what have you thought about this situation and how it's played out?
Well, I think one of the things you really have to think about is how they're handling the situation. It's a situation I've been in before early in my career with Edmonton, when we had Matt Dunnigan as a starter. I was the backup and Tracy Ham was holding the clipboard. But the one thing Jackie Parker always said, and I was a young quarterback at the time, he says, every game you're going to play some downs to maintain, I guess, both of our rhythms, or if Matt would get hurt, then I would play every single game. And if I had to take over, then I would be in a much better situation playing. And so I think it's how you handle the situation. You already have a backup that, if he's not playing, he's going to be one of the best teammates. But I believe if you handle the situation right, you can go in the playoffs with two quarterbacks that are capable of winning the championship. And so I think how I would do it, I would make sure that Vernon Adams or whoever's the backup will play every single down, at least gets a couple of series every single game. So just in case he has to go in there and play in the playoffs, he's been playing on a consistent basis. So I think it has more to do with how you handle the situation. I think both guys understanding who's going to start, they're going to be really good teammates. So in that situation, it's really good.
So they go from Nathan, Nathan plays, and part of that was, VA was hurt when Nathan came back from the National Football League. So he plays on,
That's right.
5 days, so it wasn't that difficult of a decision. VA's out. So you play Nathan, you trust him. VA comes back, and by that point, Nathan's playing pretty good, but they've stumbled a little bit here. So VA gets to start this week. What do you do, moving forward if VA does not play well this week? Do you go back to Nathan in the West semifinal?
Well, you have to do, we're going into the situation. It's a decision that you have to make as a head coach, that who's playing the best at the present time going into the playoffs. Who's going to give you the best chance to win? Because the ultimate goal is to win a Grey Cup. And so whoever's playing the best at this time, that's who you want starting going into the playoffs. Now, if he should falter or not play well or a slow start, then you have a capable backup to come in the game and try to keep a team or to turn the momentum around. And so the fact that they have two quality quarterbacks that can win you a game, they're in a really good situation. And so it's just a matter of how you handle that situation and how do you manage it. And that really comes down to the head coach, how he communicates with both quarterbacks, and the same time, bringing and giving the confidence of whoever's going to start. You have 100% confidence in that player. So at the end of the day, it's like, you want your quarterback playing whoever's playing the best, to start the playoffs. And, and if he plays well throughout the playoffs, then you're going to have a backup quarterback that's going to be ready to play. So it really comes down to the head coach
south.
and decision making.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but now you look at a head coach in Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. A great head coach, I think well respected, and they're looking at making a quarterback change. Justin Fields has played the first 6 weeks of the season, but Russell Wilson's ready to go. And so Russell Wilson has been taking the first team reps this week. Looks like he's going to start, but you're 4-2. You've won 4 games to start the season. Is this the time to make a quarterback change? And what's going through your mind if you're Justin Fields?
Well, for a coach to make that decision and you're 4-2, still, then you have to look at as a total team, like what part of the team is playing really good. I'm assuming that they've been playing really good defense, and Justin Field really hasn't separated itself from being the starter. And so I think that's the issue. When you have quality quarterbacks and no one's really separating themselves, then it makes you want to play all of them to see who's going to turn that corner or separate themselves from the 3 quarterback situation, or the like you said, the same thing in BC, from the starter to the backup. And so the fact that Fields haven't separated himself and he's given Russell Wilson that opportunity, he's because they want, if that position starts to play very well, then I think the Steelers can be a really good football team, and they feel they can go deep into the playoffs and potentially, win a championship due to the fact because they've always played great defense. It's just a matter of what quarterback's going to separate themselves and be the true leader of that team. And so that happens sometimes. Sometimes it's on the coaching situation, and sometimes it's on the players. If you come out and separate yourself from the rest of the quarterbacks, then you become the starter.
It'd be fun to follow and see what Russell Wilson does this week. Now, to your neck of the woods down there in Texas.
Everybody's going to follow. They followed ever since Russell went to Pittsburgh and Justin Fields was traded to Pittsburgh. And so that's pretty much been the talk, what's going on in Pittsburgh and who's going to be the starting quarterback. And even in 6 weeks in, we're still talking about that situation. Which quarterback now, who's going to separate themselves to be the true starter of the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Yeah, it'll be fun to follow. Now to Dallas. I don't know how much you're following this, but Troy Aikman has come out and blasted the Cowboys. I'm sure you're hearing a lot of this. So Troy Aikman has blasted the Cowboys, not running great routes, and all the rest. We're seeing a lot of heat on Dak Prescott. He's the number one highest paid quarterback in football. Jerry Jones was fighting with local radio hosts this week. What is going on with the Cowboys as they get set to play this weekend?
Well, every year the Cowboys have this extensive hype of what they're going to do in the season, and when they don't fulfill it, then they get a lot of criticism as well. But like any other position, we know it's a quarterback-driven league. No matter if you're playing high school football, college football, or the professional ranks, everything falls on the quarterback, and so Dak is going to get majority of the pressure. And he's had great regular season games, but then, he kind of falters in the playoffs. But as a team, Dallas is, each year they have this promising, it's this hype of what they're going to do, and then they never fulfill it. And so that's what they're dealing with now. And then last week, they got blew out by the Lions. And so we want to see how they're able to bounce back, with a veteran quarterback, a good quarterback that had a great season last year, and the hopes of, turning their season around, which Dallas has always been the talk of early on, hype of what they're going to do. And this will be their year for the Super Bowl. And so they haven't been able to fulfill that. And they're going to continue to get the criticism that's just due because of the early talks every year.
Always happens that way.
But everything falls on Dak. Everything's going to fall on Dak at the end of the day.
2 playoff wins in 8 seasons. You got to win 3 playoff wins in 1 year to get to the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. And the fact that Dak, each year he signs a new contract, he ends up being the highest paid. And so there's a lot of pressure that comes along with that. And so he looks like he's able to handle it. Because it doesn't seem it affects him in a way that he still, stays focused on what he needs to do. And like you said, he had an excellent year last year. Led the league in passing, I believe.
Yeah, they were good last year. And 12 wins last year. They play the San Francisco 49ers on the road this week. And lastly, I will get you out of here right away. Just quickly, are you in or out on Sam Darnold and the undefeated Minnesota Vikings?
Well, you got to be in because is he starting every game since they've been undefeated?
He's playing well, really good. But do you see this continuing? You see them continuing to play well? Yeah.
Yeah. So clearly he's become a veteran quarterback, and he's had issues early in his career, but he's been able to withstand it. And so clearly he's with the right team, and his confidence level is back at throwing the football. I remember him coming out of USC. So, I mean, there was high hopes in his ability to throw the football. And now he's with a team they're indoors. They got good receiving core. Your ball's not affected indoors. And so I think the confidence level has come around for him in his – what year is this for him? 5, 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he might have turned the corner, right? He might have turned the corner a little bit, and now he's, the things that he needed to do, he's with the right team. He has confidence, and they're undefeated right now.
Yeah, unbelievable. It's a great story. Great seeing you. Enjoy Texas, and appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, looking forward to the playoffs starting the CFL, and the way the teams are playing. It's up in the air, man. Even though the teams are playing the best, Hamilton shows that they could beat somebody. The Argos in the Winnipeg game last week was a close ball game, and so you never know. You might see an Argos and Winnipeg Grey Cup again.
That would be fun. That was a hell of a game in Regina a couple of years ago when they met in the final. David,
yes,
all the best.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. Damon Allen joining us here on the video chat. We'll back to wrap things up and still squeeze in a little NFL Deal or No Deal, our final picks on the other side. Rod Pedersen Show, live on a Football Friday on the Game Plus Television Network.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Oh, this will be fun. One final segment. We only got 3 minutes. Mail has shown up. We got some viewer mail. And this is from Brent in Florida. And making good on a bet. We're going to open this here in just a second. But first, we're going to hammer through some NFL Deal or No Deal. And then we're going to open some mail. Remember when we bet on the Titans and Packers game a few weeks ago? The Packers won. And I'm going to have to wear something. I don't know if I can get into this by the time we're out of the show. No, we'll have to wait a little bit till next week. But we're going to do Deal or No Deal first. And then we're going to open this up later in a couple of minutes. So looking at Sunday, the Jaguars are favored by 6 points over the Patriots. No deal. On Sunday, Minnesota is 1.5-point favorites, undefeated over the Detroit Lions. I'll also say no deal. I think Detroit's going to win that game. Tennessee, 9.5-point underdogs to Buffalo. I'll take the deal. I'll take Buffalo minus 9.5. Cincinnati is in Cleveland. The Bengals are favored by 6 over the Cleveland Browns. I will take the deal. Cleveland is going to keep winning. They're going to make the playoffs. The New York Giants, home to Philadelphia. Eagles are 3.5-point favorites. Got some scissors now. That's good. That'll help me open this package. Eagles are 3.5-point favorites. I will take the deal. They're getting healthier, and I think they're going to turn things around a little bit. Houston is in Green Bay. Packers are 2.5-point favorites. I will say no deal. I'll take the Texans. Seattle and Atlanta. Atlanta, 3-point favorites over the Seahawks. I will take the deal. Miami in Indianapolis. The Colts are 3-point favorites. No deal. I'm going to take the Dolphins to upset Indy. Washington home to Carolina. The Commanders are 9-point favorites. You still have a deal for me. Vegas is in L.A. to take on the Rams. Rams are 7-point favorites. Deal. And the 49ers home to Kansas City. The 49ers are 1.5-point favorites. No deal. I think the Chiefs will win. And the Jets in Pittsburgh. Jets are 1.5-point favorites. I will take the deal. What else do we got? Ravens, 3.5-point favorites over Tampa. I'll take the deal. Chargers, 1.5-point favorites over Arizona. I'll take the deal. Minnesota, and then we're moving forward. So there you go. Deal or no deal for the NFL. Now, let's open up some mail. We only got a minute left in the show. It should be something. I'm expecting a Green Bay Packers cheesehead that I have to wear on the show. He said I would like it. We got a shirt. This doesn't look very green. It's a Titan shirt. This isn't much of a losing the bet. I got a Titan shirt. Look. And a hat. Got a bucket hat. Oh, and we got a Florida Panthers hockey puck. That's nice. So Brent in Florida. And here I thought I'd have to wear something Green Bay Packers. It's got a note. Hope you like it. They were giving the bucket hats away, so we grabbed one for you, Brent in Florida. Well, that's a great way to go into the weekend. Thanks, Brent. Hope you have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you Monday on the RP Show.
Who has more fun than us?